Hey there, spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scariest Podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace, this is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And today we're here with a new batch of homegrown horror for you. It's a little mix of long shorts.
Long shorts and short longs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Adam, why don't you tell us what homegrown horrors are?
Homegrown horrors are the wonderful stories that you folks have sent to us. Either you're a viewer that watches us live Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time at youtube.com/scarishpodcast or twitch.tv/scarishpodcast, or you're a listener, which we have many, many more of, that listens to the podcast version of this that launches story times and past times come out every Friday. Either way, if you have a story that you would like to send us that's creepy, coincidental, extraterrestrial, spiritual, supernatural in nature, sometimes true crime, Robin, where can folks send those?
You can send them to our email, storytime@scarish.com. You can also go to our website, scarish.com, fill out the contact us page, and it gets sent to us that way.
Indeed. So if you have a story, we would love to hear from you, like the 4 people who wrote into us this week, and we're going to be reading them. So would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Alrighty. Well, you take control of that mouse that looks like a
Choose my destiny.
stormtrooper.
Am I reading this one?
It's up to you. The top 4 are the ones we're reading tonight, so.
Okay.
You have that space over there on your right-hand side. That'll probably be a lot easier for you.
Okay, yeah, this is my mouse. It is a stormtrooper. Because it's May the 4th. I mean, I always have this.
I almost set up a bunch of lightsabers
like
in the background.
Oh, you should have.
I thought, but I was like, they'll be on the bed and they'll be like, not like stable, so. But yeah, Robin's all about them Star Wars stuffs.
Alright, okay, so the first one I'm going to read here is from Blake, and the title of this particular email is My Family's Spoopy Stay at a Tombstone Motel. Alright, so it goes. Hey, Adam, Robin, and Spooky Mom. Hello.
Hello. And my mom says, hi.
Oh, wow.
I did a normal one because I kind of miss her. She's back in Vegas, so.
Okay. It's me, the one who absorbed the Shadow Man haunting my grandparents' apartment, and whose mom said my sister and I were crazy when a ghost was tapping our bedroom walls. I promised to tell you all about my scary night at a Tombstone Motel and have finally summoned the strength to do just that. Strap in, or on, and get comfy, because this is going to be a long, considering this isn't just going to be what I myself experienced, but also a few of my family members did as well.
They said it's going to be long, and Robin called it along to go along with the thing we were doing at the beginning of the show.
Oh.
So, fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool.
So one of the many places I lived growing up was not that far from ghost towns, and being a family that loved history and spooky things, we would go to these ghost towns almost every weekend and spend the day there. One thing my mom always wanted to do, though, is spend a night at the motel in Tombstone, especially after seeing either Ghost Hunters and Adam's favorite, Ghost Adventures, investigate it. So when we finally had the chance, we did just that. Growing up, and used to experiencing supernatural stuff and all that, I could usually feel the vibes of how spooky a place was. My spidey sense, if you will. And let me tell you, the second we got to that hotel, my spidey sense was going through the roof. My mom, being the social butterfly she is, struck up a conversation with the person at the front desk by talking about seeing Ghost Adventures, staying there before, and hoping to experience the same stuff they did. This not only got us a discount on the room, but they also gave us a room on what they said is the most haunted part of the motel, Holiday Inn, since it was the original part of the building back when Tombstone was still a bustling town. The room we got had 2 bedrooms. Oh, so it's like a suite? So one for my sister and a boyfriend. My mom decided to have her and my little sister use the pull-out bed. Maybe it was bed. The room has 2 beds. So one for sister boyfriend, the other one for her, and then little sister uses the pull-out bed.
Gotcha.
All right. So which meant me, myself, and I, it is 2 bedrooms, had a room to myself. Cool. So it is a suite. Pretty sweet.
Sounds nice.
The second I stepped through the door of the room my mom wanted me to stay in, I noped the hell out. The atmosphere in that room felt so electrified, I wasn't even able to bring myself to walk through the door into the room, so I ended up sharing the pull-out bed with my mom in the middle, and me and my sister on each end. Unfortunately, the end I slept on faced the hallway that led to the bathroom and bedroom, and we all know how totally not scary and haunted hallways are, especially at night. Now, my mom at the time, because of all the supernatural things she's experienced, couldn't sleep without the TV on, because the sound and light made her feel more safe. So when it was time to sleep, it was left on, much to my relief, because it meant when I would wake up, it wasn't pitch black and silent in the room, which is nice, at least for me, because I remember when we went to San Jose and we stayed in the Airbnb, my sister and I, we like left the TV on all night because we were watching.
We forced her to watch Haunting of Hill House in one sitting.
Yeah. All right. So, I woke up each and every hour that night, sometimes to nothing, but other times I would wake up and something would tell me to look at the hallway, which was so dark I couldn't even see down it. And when I did look, I would hear slow, heavy footsteps like boots walk from the end of the hallway up to the bed and stop right next to my head, wait a minute, and then walk all the way back down the hallway just to do it again until I would somehow force myself to fall back asleep. It's like that, Annabelle Creation movie where she's absolutely horrified by the thing that came into the room and climbed onto the lower bunk bed, but she somehow fell asleep. I'm sure it's like the same thing where you're just so scared, but you're so tired and you just pass out.
At some point, you're just like, whatever.
Another few times, I woke up to the blankets being pulled, but since my little sister at the time was a restless sleeper, I chalked it up to her pulling on them when she was turning over or something. One time, though, the blanket was pulled so hard that it woke both me and my mom up. I asked her if it was my sister pulling the sheets, but my mom told me that my sister hadn't moved at all since she fell asleep. This, of course, creeped us both out, so we ended up staying up for just a little bit until we calmed down. So we ended up watching Pokemon together. Aw, I wish I could make my mom watch Anime Man. That is not something that they do.
Anime Man, he sounds cool. Who's he?
It's Anime Man is actually a YouTuber.
Damn it.
While watching TV, though, I was in the middle of telling my mom about the footsteps when we glanced back at the TV and saw this dark mass of a shadow shoot up from the foot of the bed, which is in front of the TV, and then back down to the floor. So yeah, didn't get that much sleep that night. When morning finally came and we were packing our stuff up, my older sister's boyfriend was using the bathroom. While we were waiting for him, we heard him laugh and tell my sister to stop and leave him alone, which was weird because me and my mom and sisters were all in the living room waiting for him.
There was a ghost groping him.
That's so creepy. After finally getting home, my mom decided we should all share any experiences we had while staying, so we gathered around like some scouts around a campfire and shared. So while my mom and I had pretty much the same experiences since we were in the same room the whole time, surprisingly, my little sister was so deep of a sleeper she didn't notice anything going on. However, my older sister and her boyfriend did have some spooky experiences. When they were getting ready for bed, they were taking turns using the bathroom, so one would wait in the bedroom on the bed and watch the TV in there while they waited for the other to get out. Why didn't you both just brush your teeth together? You know, like, I am the type of person who's like, I'm not going to go in there by myself, especially if I know the hotel is haunted. I'm like, you're staying in this room with me?
She wouldn't be in the room in the first place, but if she had to stay there,
facts.
She would not go in any corner of that room by herself.
The TV faced away from the door, so you wouldn't be able to see someone come in. My older sister was waiting and watching TV when she felt someone heavy sit on the bed. But when she turned around, of course, there was no one there. Switched to her boyfriend, and the same thing happened to him. Watching TV, waiting for my sister to get out, and then he felt someone sit next to him on the edge of the bed. But no one was there. As far as I remember, that's all my older sister experienced. I just imagine, man, that ghost is like, thank God someone's watching TV. It is so boring in here.
That's funny.
As for her boyfriend, he experienced a few more things. Now the bedroom doors face each other. What he told me is the day we got there, while my sister was in the bathroom and he was laying their bags in the room, after I had already said hell nah to staying in the room, he put their bags down, turned to leave the room, and saw, leaning on the door frame, facing him, a tall, dark shadow shaped like a man wearing what looked to him like, of course, a cowboy hat. The shadow didn't do anything, but the feeling he got from the shadow was that he didn't like us being there. So yeah, very glad I trusted my gut and didn't stay in that room. As for the bathroom incident, when we asked him why he was talking to my little sister when we were getting ready to check out, he told us that when he was on the toilet, he saw a hand come up from under the crack of the door, making grabbing motions at him. That gives me chills, dog. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's kind of terrifying, because that would be like a full-blown arm and no longer like a spook or specter. Like, this would be something that has like corporeal form.
So the crack under the door was small, and my little sister had skinny hands, and does, in fact, like to try and scare us sometimes. So he assumed she was trying to scare him. Like I mentioned earlier, she was nowhere near the door, so we told him there was no way it was her. So that was my family's spoopy tombstone stay. Sorry for the length, but I really wanted to share not just my experiences there, but also my family's, because I think they were just as, if not more scary than what happened to me. Thank you in advance if this makes it onto the show, and sorry for any grammatical or punctuation errors this probably has. Spooky Mom, but in my defense, I'm typing this at 1 a.m. Y'all are awesome, and thank you for all your hard work and love that you guys put in the show and community. Thank you so much, Blake, for sharing that with us. I think that is absolutely terrifying. The whole thing of them seeing the fingers under the door freaks me out. That's like some signs type thing, you know?
Also, the idea of like something walking down a hallway towards you, you can hear the boots stopping next to your head and then walking away and just
I would not want to open my eyes.
I would leave the lights on the entire room. Yeah. I'd be like, if I'm hearing this, and also I would absolutely record it. Because I just put that shit on YouTube and get like 1 billion followers or whatever. But yeah, that's super, super terrifying. So, indeed.
I'm a big nope person when it comes to staying at haunted hotels. So, like when we went to the Winchester, She wouldn't even let us do the basement tour. Yeah, folks. I did not want to do the basement tour, and we didn't really stay too close to it. I think we had to take an Uber pretty far. It was like 10 minutes or something. The haunted places are not my bag.
And then to show how crazy this is of her interest in the haunted, but not interest in the haunted, we didn't stay near the Winchester because of that. Not entirely because of that, but that was definitely a big factor. But then we watched Hill House the entire time we were there, because exposing yourself to something that's haunting but fictional is fine.
Hill House is a work of art. That show, Haunting at Hill House,
one's really good.
Is so flip-flapping good that I could just watch it over and over and over again, and each time just keep trying to find the ghosts and trying to find like fun things in there. Highly recommend. It's just so good.
Well, all I know is if we're ever in this area, we definitely are going to try and stay in the exact same room as you. And then we'll split up into different bedrooms to see what our experiences are, and then we will report back to you.
Pass.
So, good stuff. Thank you so much for writing that in, Blake. We appreciate it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move into our next story of the show, and this one's subject is, Hey Adam, Robin, and Spooky Mom, it's Kyle, a.k.a. Emanon from Twitch. You can read this on the pod, and hello, everyone listening.
Hello.
Hello. Everyone else out there has to yell hello right now, as loud as you can wherever you are. Just be like, hello! I had to commit to it. I just told everyone else to do it. And because I did it, I'm aware because I did it, they all have to commit to it. Scream wherever you're at. It'll be good for you.
I'm sorry for everyone who's wearing earbuds that just had their ears blown out.
I'm sure it wasn't pleasant, but I mean, here's the thing. If you're watching live, yeah, that was loud. If you're not, if you're listening to the show, I mean, Robin's probably never listened to our near 500 amount of podcasts, but I definitely prevent things from clipping or being too loud for every spike. So I take time with the edit. Anyways, we're going to go into this. It's called Desolate Highway. Starts out like this. I hate you so much. So this was a couple weeks ago, and as everybody knows, I deliver motorcycles for work. Now you all know if you didn't know.
And if you don't know, now you know.
I was on my way back from a 10-hour run up to Buffalo, New York. The trip was seemingly uneventful. I think I had 6 or 8 stops, and I know that I had a fair amount of weight in the back of the truck. Now that journey takes me down Route 219, from Buffalo all the way down where it connects to Route 153 to I-80. On this lonely, lonesome highway south of 219, with the echoes of the podcast ringing in my head, I smoked one of the day's last cigarettes.
I don't know what song that is.
I don't know what song it's supposed to be. It's okay. It still sounds poetic. So I just turned off Route 219 onto 153. Now, as you start coming up the hill, about a 6% grade.
That's a high grade.
It's a high grade. I mean, I've had grades that low in math before.
I mean, what? What? No, you did not.
I mean, shit that you didn't do, I got a 0% on. But, yeah, 6% going uphill is quite a bit. Downhill, too. Anyways, the truck starts losing momentum, so I have to downshift. At this point, I'm doing about 45 and slowing down. This part of 153 has no houses or streetlights, and it's a moonless night. I was on the
windows and no.
Oh, Haunted Mansion. I was like, what are you interrupting me for? Just to quote the Haunted Mansion line.
Yeah.
Still a fun ride. Go check it out. Gonna continue. I was on the phone with Shawnee, in parentheses, Lady M. And as I was coming up the hill, I was saying to her that it seems like my headlights are getting dimmer. That stretch of road I've been on hundreds of times before, and it never felt that dark. Now, this was about 8:30 or 9 p.m. Eastern, and it was at this point I noticed that there wasn't any other traffic either. No other trucks or cars, which is strange because this is a major truck route. As I continued, I got this overwhelming sense of dread, like I was being watched or hunted. Even my hair was standing on end.
Creepy.
My eyes were watering, full-on flight or fight mode. The only thing going through my head was, you can't fight this, you need to run, you need to get out of here, something is going to get you. And by this point, my truck had slowed down to about 30 to 35 miles an hour.
Because you're going uphill, and you really can't help it unless you're, like, pedals to the metal.
Right. And you just tear up your engine or your transmission that way. Slow enough, had something wanted to, and it was fast enough, it could get to the side of my truck. Okay, I'm just going to pause really fast. I don't know what this is, but I will say, if it was a grizzly bear, if this was a grizzly bear, like I said in the last episode that came out yesterday, it can run 35 miles an hour. So a grizzly bear could get it. So I don't know how fast the Jersey Devil is. They've never clocked the Jersey Devil. JD's been out of commission for like a century. So.
JD?
All right. Here we go.
Justin Timberlake.
Now, mind you, I'm just going to keep going. Start your stupid bullshit. Now, mind you, the truck that I take on longer runs is a 2012 Freightliner M2106. I mean, obviously. With a 20-foot box on it. Not exactly a small truck. Being that I was coming back from New York, I did not have my sidearm. In parentheses, it's really hard to get non-residential concealed carry permits for the New York State.
Interesting.
And like I said, I was on the phone, so it kind of put it out of my head. I tried to not think about it and continue driving to get home, but the feeling and the road kept getting more and more sinister. I'm feeling really uneasy at this point. All I can do is continue driving and having my conversation until I hear that very distinct notification that the call was dropped due to no service.
No, that is one of the scariest things when you're driving. It's dark. You don't necessarily know exactly where you are, and you have no cell service.
Or things are just being weird in general, and then your cell phone stops working.
It's just like, oh, I cannot, no. Whenever I drop signal, it freaks me out.
Yeah. All right. So now I am alone with something hunting me. At least that's the feeling I was getting. I'm looking around, I'm watching the woods when I noticed a shadowy figure keeping pace with my truck about 15 to 20 yards inside the tree line. At this point, I crest the next hill and I start on the downhill slope.
Then you can speed.
I start to accelerate, but the thing about DOT, Department of Transportation, regulated trucks is anything over 21,000 pounds once you hit the right percent of a grade, which is, if I remember, out here around 5 or 6%, somewhere right around there, there are brake check stations where you have to stop. So I stopped at the brake check station. From there, I proceeded to come down the mountain at 30 miles an hour. That's the truck's speed limit on the way down. Sign says stay in reduced gear, and I'm watching this thing get closer and closer to the side of the road because the wooded area drops off into a ravine just off the east side of 153. As I come down the mountain now, I've got about 4 miles down the mountain that are restricted to 30 miles an hour, and at this point, I'm terrified. My eyes are watering, I'm scared, and I'm not a small guy, 6'2", about 270 pounds, built like a lineman. I had the feeling that whatever I saw, I wouldn't have stood a chance, but I continued down the mountain. About halfway, the road straightens out. It's much more windy at the top, so when the road straightens out, I kind of say, to hell with the speed limit. I bump it up a gear, so I'm doing about 40 down the mountain, and I start pulling away from whatever it is. The odd thing is that it never came into the stray light from the headlights. You know, that little bit of light that hits more beside you from the headlights, not in the beam?
It's like your peripherals.
Yeah, I got it. It stayed away from that. I finally made it down to I-80 where it was 70 miles an hour. I don't know what it was, and I also haven't been back through there. Now, whenever I go up to Buffalo, I will take Route 255. I don't go through that stretch of 153 anymore. I don't want to know if it's still up there, and I'm not going to find out. On another creepy note, or scary-ish note, that bridge in Pittsburgh that you may have heard about on the news, the one that collapsed in Frick Park, I had my delivery truck on that bridge about 4:30 p.m. the night before it collapsed.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because that is like, what are the odds, you know?
Yeah, it's like what? The night before it collapsed, so that like 1 day away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrifying. So yeah, not like anything that happened in your day where it's like, oh yeah, just do it tomorrow. Like any delay that you could have in a normal day is like life or death of that situation. That's super scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a super long one, but definitely terrifying from my perspective. Could have been my overactive imagination. I don't know, but I haven't been back through there and I won't go back.
It makes sense, at least to me, when it's like I've driven through it a whole bunch of times and never have I had this weird feeling before.
Not to mention that he's seeing something outside the window that's pacing the truck, you know?
It's a goo.
It's something that it could have been a fucking grizzly bear because he's going 30 to 35 miles an hour and it's keeping pace. He goes 40 miles an hour and he starts to lose it.
I don't think it would be a grizzly bear just because.
Grizzly bear.
No. Just because he went so far, it wouldn't chase him that far.
You don't know that? You don't know what grizzly bears are like?
No. It's
Here,
the Jersey Devil.
I want to prove to you don't know what grizzly bears are like. When they run, is it on all fours or on two legs, like a human being?
It is like this.
No one can hear what you're doing.
It's not on two legs, babe.
It absolutely is. They get into 3-point stance like a lineman and then just take off. That's how grizzly bears run. That's why they stand upright. It means they're about to start running. Duh. Read a book.
You're so... I hate you.
Anyways, Kyle, thank you so much for sending that in. We appreciate it. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back.
So this next email here is from Dusty, and the title is Witching Hour Silence. So, it begins. Let's start with the introduction. I'm Dusty, not my real name. Okay, I'm from India. I've yet to experience any super scary stuff so far, at least as far back as I can remember. I'm not much of a believer in the supernatural, but I do enjoy listening to it. Now, to the story. My sleep schedule is not very good. I usually stay up till 4 a.m. Jesus. Sometimes even 6. Oh my God. And sleep for only 4 to 5 hours. That's not too bad. Recently, that is on February 11th, if I remember correctly, I was listening to your podcast alone with all the lights off, just enjoying it and getting goosebumps once in a while. There are a lot of stray dogs. They were barking a lot. It's pretty usual, so I didn't think much of it. Suddenly, the podcast paused. I thought that it was buffering, but I felt weird. I removed my earphones to check for any sound which might have made me think that way. But what I noticed was that there was no noise at all. No dogs barking, no sound from my fan. I could only hear my own heartbeat. I checked the time. It was 3 a.m. And at 3:01, all the sounds resumed. That 1 minute felt like an eternity. I honestly don't know how I feel about that. Probably just my tired mind playing games on me. In the morning, I wasn't even sure if it was 3 when the incident happened. Sorry if my English is bad. I'm just stupid. Shut the fuck up.
English was pretty good, actually.
English is good. Dusty, not Dusty. Thank you so much for that. I think 3 a.m. is, if I'm reading manga and stuff, and it flips over to 3 a.m., I'm just like, I can't put my phone down because it's 3 a.m. I just keep reading until it's no longer 3 a.m.
So I think the 3 a.m. thing was a coincidence because based off of what you described here, I'm pretty sure this is a spell called Silence. Most classes can cast this. I think bards, wizards, probably even warlocks. It does last for 60 seconds, which, although that seems short, is 10 full rounds of combat. And it does erase all sounds from the area. So obviously I'm joking. That is super terrifying. I'm glad that it only lasted for a single minute. Because anything longer would have just been very disturbing. I would have actually freaked the fuck out. So, the fact that you didn't do that is a good thing. And maybe just get a little bit more sleep and hopefully that doesn't happen again in the future. But like Robin said, the witching hour is just a creepy time. Like, if I wake up and it's the witching hour, I'm like, no, close your eyes and go back to sleep. No one knows that you noticed it was the witching hour. The ghosts don't know. So
the ghosts don't know. They know everything.
You don't become omniscient when you die.
They're on the other side. They see it all.
They don't see it all. They have to
they
obey
see what you
rules.
Nope, they've seen what you've done and they see what you will do.
Are they fucking Santa Claus? They can predict the future?
They're ghosts.
So the fuck what? That doesn't mean that they know everything.
I think they do.
That's no, not at all. No. All right. Thank you for writing that in. So me and Robin could
hold
find
on.
out what a discrepancy is.
So you don't think ghosts know what's going to happen?
No, ghosts cannot predict the future.
Then how do they come and save you?
Same way we all come. What do you mean they come and save you?
Like in
a very specific instance where you're warned about something?
Yes.
How often does that happen? And
all
why don't
the
they
time,
save you
all the fucking time?
You're
Ghosts
so
every
full of shit.
Every day, every
You're
5 minutes.
So
Ghosts come and tell me this
full
is going to
of
happen.
shit. No, it's just like anytime that someone gets a premonition. Like, if you just show up because you know something bad's going to happen, they don't know everything that's going to happen. Or else they'd show up and give you fucking the lottery numbers. Or tell you, like, hey, the Bengals are going to lose to the Rams.
They don't abuse their powers,
That's
babe.
so fucking dumb. You have these ridiculous headcanon rules you've created for the supernatural.
They don't abuse their powers. They are only there to protect you. So they warn you when bad things are going to happen.
Is one warning you right now?
Yeah. It's telling me to stop talking because you're going to hit me.
Have I ever hit you?
Yeah.
No matter, you're full of shit at your request. No matter how much I want to. You've definitely hit me. You hit me like every show. When we first started doing the show, Robin was careful not to strike me on camera because she didn't want to have any evidence that lived in perpetuity on the internet. And nowadays, she just hits me every show. But, all right. Anyways, this was fun. What a wonderful debate. Thank you for sending that in. We appreciate it. Dusty, not Dusty. All right. So I'm going to move into our last email of the show. And this one is from Natalie. And its subject is Angels and Demons.
I love that movie. I've watched that movie 1,000,001 times.
I don't know if it's going to be about the movie. So let's just dive into it. All right. It says, okay to read on the pod. Glad to have that up front. It always helps. Starts out like this. Hi, Adam and Robin.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Natalie, and I've sent a few emails before. I believe this is number 7. Lucky number 7. I have a big family, so still have lots of stories, but with the holidays and other stuff, I haven't had time to write in a while. I just finished listening to one of the stories I sent, and it motivated me to finish writing some more.
Aw, thank you.
The first story I will call The Demon in the Corner. This one happened before I was born, but it's one my mom has told very often. So I'm number 5 out of 6 kids.
Dang, that's a lot of siblings.
That's a lot of siblings. This one happened to one of my sisters, who was baby number 3. So although my mom was young, she was by no means a new mother, and she had been a nanny since age 11.
Wow.
So she knew plenty about babies. Also would like to add that although we consider ourselves Catholic, neither of my parents or I have ever been super religious. At the time this happened, my sister was a newborn, and she had not yet been baptized.
Oof, okay.
One night, my sister started screaming in the middle of the night, and it wasn't a regular baby cry. It was something like she was being murdered.
What?
My mom runs in, of course, but couldn't find anything wrong with her. She was just laying in her crib and staring at a particular corner of the room. She was maybe 1 or 2 weeks old at this point, and she should not have been able to see that far, but no matter where in the room my mom had her, she would turn to that corner and scream. This continued for a couple of weeks, and my mom was at her wit's end.
I need a refund on this baby.
Nothing she did made any difference, and my sister would continue to scream whenever she faced that corner, and only that corner. One day, she was talking to her friend about it, and her friend, who was a bit more superstitious than my mom, suggested it was because she had not yet been baptized. She told her to put a pair of scissors open so they formed a cross somewhere near my sister's head until she could get her baptized. My mom didn't really believe in this, but she was willing to try anything at this point, so she did what her friend suggested. From that night on, my sister never screamed like that again, and my mom had her baptized not long after.
That's good.
It's good. I worry about where you're placing open scissors near a newborn, but I'm sure that there was precautions taken. All right, second story happened to me, and it wasn't really that scary, but it creeped me out a little. Let's call it What's in the Corner. What the fuck is with everything being in the corner?
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I hate you. When my oldest nephew was born, my sister lived with my parents because my brother-in-law was in Iraq. She worked during the day, and my mom took care of my nephew. I've always loved babies, so on the days I didn't have school, I would take my nephew to bed with me when my sister left. We would sleep for a few more hours, and then I would get him ready for the day. One day, I was changing and dressing him on my bed, and he was at that age where he could sit up and babble a little, but not talk or walk yet. Out of nowhere, he turns to a corner behind him and starts waving and babbling like there is someone there. I couldn't see anything there, but having grown up listening to story number 1, I was like, nope, and grabbed the baby and didn't go into my room for the rest of the day. Never experienced anything weird in there, but still creeped me out.
Have I ever told you about the time when I was like 3 years old? Maybe younger than that. I was like a baby. And I was...
Baby,
damn it.
baby. Ooh.
I was sleeping, and my dad was in Vegas, I think, and my mom was in Texas because I was born there. And I was just sleeping, and all of a sudden, I sat straight up and just started giggling. Just
oh, yeah, I remember this.
Crazy giggling. And my mom was like, what the hell is happening? And I just passed right out. I just went back to sleep immediately. And then my dad calls, like, right after I'd gone back to sleep, my dad calls, and he's like, I just won a jackpot, like, in Vegas. And my mom thinks that, like, they're connected.
You picked up on the vibe.
Yeah.
And you were just like, ah!
Money!
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Last story I will call The Angel at My Back. This one happened a bit over 10 years ago, I think. Backstory. I have always had really long, thick, dark hair. My hair has always been the one part of my body I actually liked, so I never had the urge to cut it or dye it, other than the occasional trim of the edges. It's always been healthy too, so never had split ends or anything. I'm not bragging, I just want you to understand why this incident was out of character for me. So on to the story. A family friend had recently lost her husband, and he was the breadwinner, so she was doing different stuff to earn money. One of these things was to cut hair, so to help out, my sister and my mom asked her to come to the house and cut their hair. She agreed and came over. She started with my sister and then my mom. Right before she finished with my mom, I got this urge that I wanted to cut my hair and donate it. Like I said, I had only ever cut maybe an inch or two of my hair, so my mom asked if I was sure, since to donate it, it needs to be at least a foot. I said I was sure, and so she finished with my mom's hair and had me sit down. At this point, my mom goes in to take a shower, and the friend and my sister go inside to look for something to tie my hair with to keep it together for donation, and I am left alone in the backyard. I didn't have a phone at the time, so I was just sitting there waiting when all of a sudden, I feel someone put their hand on top of my head and then run it down my hair all the way to the tips, which was almost at my waist.
Oh my God.
The feeling was so clear that I just thought the friend had come back and was measuring how much to cut or something, so I turned to ask her something, and there was no one there. I was kind of shocked because I had felt it so clearly, but the whole backyard was empty, so no one could have touched me and then left without me seeing them.
Fuck that.
I just sat there and waited eventually, and she came back and cut my hair, and I didn't say anything. As soon as she was done, I ran inside and took a shower, and I just burst into tears. It's hard to explain, but I was just overwhelmed by this feeling like it was something divine that touched me. Like I said before, I'm not really religious or even that superstitious, but the feeling was so strong that to this day I keep donating my hair every year or two, depending on how fast it grows, because I feel like something out there wants me to.
Aww.
Anyways, hope you like these stories, and I'll be writing some more soon. Love you guys.
That is so cool, because I don't think a lot of people donate their hair. Like whenever I go to the salon, I just cut a few inches off and that's it. You know, I don't have really long hair or anything like that. I know some people raise their kids and they have boys and they just have their boys grow their hair out. And then one day, every few years, they're just like, snip it all off.
Now, when I was in my 20s, I grew my hair out to like my lower back, like mid back, I'd say actually. And I donated that when I cut it because I was like, there's no reason not to donate it.
I think I've only donated hair twice because I dye my hair all the time and you cannot donate it if it's treated.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I think that's really, really cool.
It's always interesting to me, too, when people have some sort of like interaction like this and it's really very odd and they're not frightened by it. You know, it's something that is odd and it you know, makes them feel like, what the hell just happened? But they're not scared. You know, it just feels like something was benevolent. And it really does lend itself to this idea that you're not really sure what's happening. You just have this instinct of whether or not it's good or bad. That's why something like the earlier story where the instinct is like something's bad is like so palpable and you just sort of trust it in the moment. So either way, like I really enjoyed this story. I'm very happy that this one wasn't a demon. And the last thing that happened was actually, there was something kind of nice. So thank you so much for sending that in. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's everything we have for this episode of Storytime. I want to thank everyone who wrote into us. We really appreciate you sharing your stories. It means the world to us. It sincerely does, because without your stories, there is no Storytime, legitimately. So if you have a homegrown horror you want to send to us, please reach out by emailing storytime@scarish.com. You can also go to our website, scarish.com, and click on Contact Us. Fill out that form. It does come directly to us. Or you can hit us up on any of our social medias. Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. You can join our Spooky Friends group from there. Hit us up on Discord by going to scarish.com, which is our website, clicking on the little ticker that goes by. It says, join us on Discord. It'll put you right into our server. Hit us up on Twitter, @ScarishPod, or hit us up on Instagram, @ScarishPodcast. We would love to hear from you. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast. Those are monthly donation tiers start at $1. And at $1 you get ad free, so that's awesome. If you're not into the monthly donation type thing, you can also go to ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast, like we have had someone do recently, which we are so incredibly thankful for. Shout out to Aaron, you rock. And and
I think that's just about everything we have for this episode of Storytime. So Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.